Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marta, I come from Norway and I love makeup, and today I am actually going to do a video on the Oden's eyeshadows. They did release some new single shadows a few weeks ago, and it might be a surprise to you if you have been on my Instagram before, like during their first single shadows release, because I did get some shadows from them and it was not a good experience. They were very oily and just a disaster on the lids, because they would crease so bad. It would look so ugly after honestly just a few minutes with some of the shadows. But I did also find a method to fix those shadows, and I know a lot of people have been using it and they are giving me feedbacks that it's so useful for them and that they're fixing all of their oily shadows. So I figured I would finally make a kind of tutorial on how to fix oily shadows too, just here on YouTube, because until now I only had it in a highlighted Instagram story, so I think it's nice to just have it here on YouTube as well. So this video, short summary, it will be about the Oden's Eye single shadows and also how to fix oily shadows. So let's just get started. Here you can see them close up in the pan, and clearly I have used them a little bit, but not a lot, but you can see how beautiful they are. Super shifty, super sparkly. And then if I also add some light from the side, and I'll just do some simple swatches of these, so I'll do it like in this order. That is so putty, it's feeling very weird. And then we have the two deeper ones. So here we have them all finger swatched, and I'll swatch them out on my arm so you can also see them there. First up we have Elara, which is just one of my favorite kind of shifts when it comes to light iridescent shades. It's just very warm in the shift. You can see it looks almost orange and it shifts to a green, which I will show you afterwards. Then we have Jade. This is one of those blue tealish kind of bases with a pink to green shift, also very pretty, but that one has a very weird formula. Then we have here Carter. It's very pretty. It's also one of my favorite kind of shifts. It's just green through orange. And the last one here is called Matthew, and it has so many small sparkles. It's very multifaceted and quite dark. I'll just show you the finger swatches again now that I've fixed the swatches a bit and layered a few layers of the swatches, and you can just see how shifty these are. Honestly, this one, the one that's called Jaded, I do not like the formula at all. It's so bad. It's just feeling like you're touching slime or something. The other ones here feel a lot more opaque and just really nice, and from my experience using both this one and this one, they also last quite nice on the eye. And here you see the finished swatches, and I'm lighting from the side so you can see all the shifts and just moving it slowly back and forth, so you can definitely see that orange to green, nearly blue. Yeah, definitely blue as well. So Lara goes from like a golden yellow to orange, green and blue. Then we have the second one, Jaded. It's green, purple, pink, green and blue. And then Carter, green, gold, green and blue, and nearly purple also at the very edge there. And the last one, Matthew, is just very unique, as I know a lot of other creators also said, but you can definitely see all those tiny sparkles, and it, like, how do I even explain it? It's got a burgundy base but also like a brown base, and the shine is warm, but it also goes to blue, and then it has all the multicolored sparkles there, which you can see. So those are very stunning and beautiful. I feel like this one is definitely quite similar to the one I have from Glam shop, so I'm a little bit disappointed in the color, but I mean, just because I have it from before, and I definitely have the other two top ones from before as well, but those are just some that I never get tired of. So all in all, I am happy with the colors that I chose. Now for removing oils from eyeshadows, and this greenish blue one is the one that has the most. So I will show you that one first. You literally just need some tissue, like paper tissue, and you just need to press down on the eyeshadow. So I recommend finding something that has a similar shape to the eyeshadow pan. So you could, for example, just use a mascara or a lipstick that might have a similar shape. And then you just put the paper on top and then you press down with whatever tool you have. And it's definitely the best if you find something that has the exact same shape. But I mean, this is so soft. Just look at that. And it's like a paste. It's honestly an awful formula. But you would just do this several times until you won't have any kind of staining on your paper tissue. But for me, I have these circular pans which I want to repan these into, because that's just how I like to store my eyeshadows, because I do a lot of custom eyeshadow palettes and then I do have to have them, or at least I want to have them in the same or the similar format. And that is just what I would do with regular squishy shadows. But with shadows like this that I find super oily, I do an extra step, which is actually just to add alcohol to the eyeshadow. And then it's, when I say alcohol, I mean very high percentage. I think mine is 96%, because if it's not very high, it's most likely water in it, which can make your eyeshadows go bad, because it will be a good environment for bacteria and mold to grow. But when you use super high percentage alcohol, it will evaporate. And the point in using that is that you will kind of mix just the binders, because that's basically what's making the eyeshadow oily. It is liquid binders, like an oil or something. And when you use alcohol, you will kind of just loosen up that oil a little bit, and then you can use the paper tissue to just soak up all of that alcohol with some of the binder. But for example, for this shade, I doubt that's necessary. I'm not even sure if it's going to be a lot coming from this one. So very little. I mean, this is very light in color too, so you don't necessarily see it that much, but it doesn't have a lot of binder in it, not like this one. But I'm just going to move this all over into the circular pans, so I'm just going to use my spatula, and I'll try not to do it in the magnetic palette. And as you can see, this texture is just so weird. It's literally like a gel or a paste. But it's so weird that only a few of them are like this. And I think just to try without alcohol, I mean, you can do just small layers and then you will probably get through to most of the oily stuff in the eyeshadow. So I'm just going to put the paper over, and I'm actually going to, I have a coffee tamper, as you can see here, but it's a little bit small, and actually this concealer from Glam Shop is a better size. So I'm just going to use that to push down. I can actually see all of the oil. It's making the paper almost see-through. I don't know if you're able to actually see that, but you can see it's very wet. So I think you can see the difference on the ones I did first, and it's getting drier and drier the further down I get here. So that's a good sign that there's not as much oils left in the shadow. So I think I will just add the rest of the shadow into the pan. I mean, it's still feeling super oily, but it's picking up a little bit better on my finger. I think I'll try to press a little bit more out of it, but I would usually recommend before using alcohol, just try this first, because it's a little bit less. I mean, you need less stuff, and it's also just very simple to just get a paper and push to the shadow. So here we have that shadow. I mean, I think it feels a little bit better, but it's still not the best. I feel like I would need to use alcohol on this one, but this one is not like my priority because it's not my favorite shade. But you can already see how much oil I got out of that shadow on this paper right here. It's a lot. I'm just gonna do the rest of them, but I will just show you if the shadow leaves any stain on the paper first, just so that we can like see what kind of a formula it is. Because I feel like it's a bit revealing if you push down and you get a lot of binder on the paper. It is a very wet formula. And with this one you see there's not really a lot on it, which means this one is a good formula. So let's check Matthew if that one has any in it. Nope, it's all good, which I also kind of noticed when I used it and swatched it. And then this one I already did once, but let me try one more time. I mean, this one has a little bit, but not that much. So I'm just gonna move these over to regular circular pans. Okay, so I think that's Elara finished, and I'll just swatch it out on my arm just to kind of prove that it's as good, if not even better. I know with the last set that I got, they were extremely oily, and those swatched so great after having done this method with them. Now let's do the shade Carter, which is so stunning. There we have Carter done. Very pretty. Last but not least, I'm gonna do Matthew right here. It is such a beautiful shade. It's quite grungy in my opinion. And there we have the last one, Matthew. Ooh, it is so pigmented and stunning. Look at that, so pretty. And here you can see the repanned eyeshadows, and I did remove some oil from this Jaded shadow, and I love to see them in circular pans, and the colors are very beautiful. So let's get on to the next part of this video. For priming the eye, I'm using my Smashbox 24-hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer, and I'm just taking this much and I'm going to disperse it on both eyes. And I did already wipe both of my eyes to make sure I don't have any excess oils on my lids, because that's definitely necessary with oily shadows. So I'm making sure I have it at least in my crease, and then I'm just like blending it all over everywhere else. And once I have that laid down, I'm just gonna go in with my Glam Grunge palette from Glam Shop. I think I'll go for like the deepest red here, and then I'll use the deepest green towards the inner part of the lid. And I'll make it a quite smoky look because that shade Matthew is quite dark. And since I've already done a video on this palette, I think I'll just fast forward through the blending and such, and that I will just focus on the shimmers because that's what this video is about. I'm going to use my Pixie Epoxy from Fyrinnae on one of my eyes just to be able to see if it makes a difference with the lasting power of the shadow. I'm trying not to use too much, but I do need a little bit. But I did find with the other shadows that seemed a bit drier that they did last pretty long on the lid, and it didn't, and although it creased, it didn't look that bad. So maybe it's going to look better without the glitter glue. But I'm just applying it with my finger. And then I'm doing the same on the other eye without any glitter glue. So this is the eye with glitter glue, this is the one without, and I don't necessarily see too big of a difference, and I feel like it applied really nicely without glitter glue. But I'm just gonna look at the time now. It is 2:15 and I'm just gonna do a wear test today, so that will be like my application time. So I'll just finish off the makeup, do a close-up, and then I'll film the outro, but I will add the wear test in the outro. And that was the close-up of my finished look. Honestly, I've been loving most of these shadows, and before I talk anymore, I will just add my clip of the wear test because I'm filming this right after doing the eyeshadow, so I haven't actually done it yet, so I'll just leave that here. At this point, it has been 8 hours since I applied these shadows, and this one was the one with the glitter glue. I did find that it's a little bit more I guess just more pigmented or shiny, but there's not a huge difference in my opinion. And as you can see, it hasn't really creased anything, or maybe tiny bit, but honestly it's holding up so nice. So this is definitely a great shadow, so I'm very impressed with that. So that was the clip of me doing the wear test for the look that I just did. I did also do a wear test with Elara and the shade Carter yesterday, and I'll just pop up a little bit of, I think I only have some photos, but I will place them here. And it did crease, but it creased in a way where it's like not that visible unless I actually like stretch my lids. And it honestly looked really nice, to be honest. And I think I had worn the look at the time that I was taking this photo. I think I'd worn it for like over 12 hours. So honestly, that is not bad at all, especially for me who does have oily lids and I do struggle with creasing sometimes. And of course I did not take a picture of the time when I used Jaded, but honestly that one was really bad. It creased so bad just after work, so approximately 8 hours. And during work as well, because I did take a few peeks in the mirror, but it was very creasy and it was very oily, so I was so happy to be able to just get those oils out, which you could see in the clips from earlier when I did the little tutorial about how to fix oily shadows. So I think all in all, with Oden's eye, it's very hard to know what you get, because some of these shadows are just really good, but some of them are just so oily and they won't last long on a lid unless you like don't have any crease at all. There's honestly no way to know unless you watch a lot of reviews on the shadows. So I mean, for me at least, all of the shadows, Elara, Carter and Matthew, were all good shadows to me, but Jaded was not. And I think a lot of people who have done the swatches are also telling you if the formula is squishy, which I think is very useful to know. But all in all, I am satisfied with this purchase, luckily, because then I won't have to need to use the customer service, which last time was just non-existent. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend purchasing from them because of that experience that I had. But if you are willing to take the risk, which I did again after having that first issue with them, then I think you will probably be happy with most of the things that you pick up. And I don't think I talked a lot about these empty magnetic palettes, but I do think they're very, very beautiful, and they do feel very high quality because they're quite heavy and they just look very well done. So yeah, I think they're very good, and they have this huge mirror too. But I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the tiny tutorial of how to fix your oily shadows and that it might be helpful for you, and also just that my review of these Oden's eyeshadows was helpful. So please leave me your experience down below if you have tried them before. I'm so curious because I feel like you either love them or hate them, but I guess I'm somewhere in between, so maybe you are too. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!